Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're putting on our Protect 30A community advocacy hats. We are firing up neighbors all across 30A, whether you're a full-time resident, a second homeowner, or a visitor who just absolutely loves this coast. We're zooming in on Inlet Beach. It's the easternmost doorway to 30A, sitting right on the Walton and Bay County line. But right now, you guys, this beautiful small-scale community is ground zero for a massive coastal squeeze. It's facing booming visitor numbers, intense development pressure, and a widening highway. So today, we're breaking down exactly why keeping Inlet Beach's small-town scale and free public access is absolutely worth fighting for. If you've driven down the 30A corridor lately, you totally know the frustration. Just listen to this comment from a local Reddit thread. It says, "It's astonishing how restricted public beach access has become. Residents and visitors shouldn't have to compete for a few square feet of sand while multi-million-dollar homes and corporate rentals block what used to be part of our shoreline." Man, that perfectly captures the current mood on the coast, right? You literally shouldn't have to own a beachfront mansion just to be able to touch the Gulf. To really understand what's at stake here, we kind of need to clear up a bit of government jargon. You're going to hear the acronym RBA thrown around a lot in these county meetings. Let's translate that into plain English. RBA stands for Regional Beach Access. These are Walton County's official primary entry points that actually provide public parking to get onto the sand. Understanding that specific local term is absolutely crucial, because without an RBA, getting onto the beach if you don't live within walking distance becomes incredibly difficult. Now wrap your head around this. There are only 3 of these free RBA lots left on this entire eastern end of the coast. Just 3. And they are all located right here in Inlet Beach. The neighboring communities, like Rosemary Beach and Alley's Beach, offer no public access of their own. That means Inlet Beach, this relatively modest, small-scale town, absorbs all the beach traffic for several wealthy private enclaves. It is, quite literally, the last true public gateway for a very long stretch of privatized shoreline. And the pressure on those remaining lots, it's building fast. Out on the west end of 30A, a harsh new reality just set in. As of April 2026, the county launched its first paid beach parking program at lots like Grayton Beach and Van Ness Butler. We are talking $15 a day during peak season and steep $500 fines for overnight parking. Contrast that with Inlet Beach, where the regional beach accesses are currently still free, but the county has openly stated that paid parking might expand. If Inlet Beach's lots ever go paid, the cost of reaching the Gulf on this end of the corridor changes for everyone.
This parking squeeze is happening against a very important legal backdrop, too. Back in June 2025, the governor signed Senate Bill 1622. This was a massive customary use law that essentially restored local authority to protect the public's right to use the dry sand. It flipped the burden so a private owner who wants to block public use actually has to sue to do so. So the right to physically sit on the sand is being protected at the state level. But let's be real for a second. If you can't park your car to get to the sand, that right doesn't mean much, does it? Inlet Beach's free lots are the on-the-ground version of that exact fight.
Let's pull back and look at the timeline. In August 2024, a major new pedestrian underpass opens in Inlet Beach. Then, by June 2025, the state signs SB 1622 into law to protect dry sand access. And by April 2026, paid parking launches on the west end of 30A. When you view those milestones chronologically, you can really feel how rapidly the pressures of new infrastructure, shifting state laws, and county management are closing in on Inlet Beach all at once. And it's not just internal pressure either. It's a fundamental geometry problem. Inlet Beach sits directly on the county line. That means massive development just across the border in Bay County, particularly along the Panama City Beach Parkway, pours traffic and visitors straight into Inlet Beach. And here is the real kicker for voting. Local Walton County residents get absolutely no say on those Bay County developments. They just have to absorb the unregulated traffic that naturally spills over the border. So how do we handle all those cars? Well, the Florida Department of Transportation, or FDOT, is running a formal planning study on a 19.4-mile stretch of U.S. Highway 98. They're proposing widening the highway from 4 lanes to 6. They held a hearing in November 2025, and construction is still about 8 to 10 years out. Now, to be fair to the planners, a wider highway moves more cars and critically aids in hurricane evacuation. But it also poses a massive dilemma for residents, because a 6-lane highway threatens to change Inlet Beach from a walkable, small-town community into a major, fast-moving thoroughfare. So that leads us to our next section, Development Flashpoints, the battle for small-town scale. Let's start with a project that has sparked intense debate,
Take Hotel Rain, a proposed 78-room boutique hotel located right on U.S. Highway 98 East at the 30A Avenue development. As of spring 2026, it is under review by the county's Technical Review Committee. For a lot of residents, placing a 78-room hotel right into this gateway corridor raises the ultimate question. Does Inlet Beach stay a low-rise residential gateway, or does it transition into a denser hotel strip?
But contrast Hotel Rain with the 30A Surf Club proposal. This was a 9,800 square foot commercial building planned for the US 98 scenic corridor. And look at the outcome here. It was unanimously denied by the Board of County Commissioners in February 2025. Over 50 residents showed up to an earlier meeting to voice their concerns about scale and density. And guess what? That advocacy actually led to a 5-0 denial. It proves that resident voices genuinely impact these outcomes.
So what are the actual rules governing these decisions? That brings us to NP7. NP7 stands for the Inlet Beach Neighborhood Plan. It is the crucial local zoning and planning document. It officially dictates density, building heights, and the overall character of the community. Basically, NP7 is the actual rulebook that will ultimately decide whether Inlet Beach allows more commercial growth or stays a purely residential, small-scale town. And right now, that rulebook is at the center of a huge legal fight. The Historic Inlet Beach Neighborhood Association, or HIBNA, is in active litigation with Walton County over NP7. The county tried to push through a zoning change, arguing it was just a minor Scrivener's error, but HIBNA argues that this so-called minor correction would actually create a massive loophole, allowing hotels all along US 98 throughout Inlet Beach. To stop this, HIBNA is pushing a 2026 ballot measure to local owners that would strictly cap lodging sizes to no more than 10 rooms. It's a direct, organized effort to legally protect the town's current character. I know, fighting these big structural battles can feel overwhelming sometimes. But let's look at a very tangible victory. $5.6 million. That is the massive amount of money FD Auto invested in a piece of infrastructure that residents desperately fought for, right here in Inlet Beach. That $5.6 million built the pedestrian underpass beneath US 98 that opened in August 2024. It's only the second pedestrian underpass in the entire Florida Panhandle. It is a 136-foot-long tunnel that finally gives people a safe way to cross a dangerous highway without dodging traffic. This underpass is living, concrete proof that local advocacy works. When residents organize, they can actually solve incredibly dangerous, large-scale problems and secure life-saving infrastructure. Which brings us to our final section, the rally, Your Voice Actually Matters. If you want to protect the small town scale and free public beach access of Inlet Beach, here are your clear, actionable steps. First, track the NP7 neighborhood plan changes closely. Know exactly what is being proposed. Second, if you are a property owner, vote in the local HIBNA ballots, like the one capping lodging sizes. And third, and this is absolutely huge, show up to the Board of County Commissioners, or BCC meetings. Just like we saw with the 30A Surf Club denial, turning out to meetings and raising your voice is what physically holds the line. It literally changes the outcome. So I want to leave you with a lingering question. Inlet Beach is the gateway. Who gets to decide what it looks like? Is it the developers? Is it the neighboring counties? Or is it the community that loves and lives in this unique coastal town? Inlet Beach holds the last free public beach parking for a long privatized stretch of 30A. It is totally worth fighting for. Stay engaged, show up to the meetings, and let's protect this gateway together. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I hope you leave today feeling ready to make a real difference.